Let us begin with the anatomy of a crash. You know the feeling. You are driving along the highway of your life, confident in your steering, sure of your destination, and then impact. You hit a guardrail. You walk into what we might call a buzzsaw. This isn't just a small error, it is a mistake that shakes the foundation of who you think you are. Maybe it happened at work, a lapse in judgment that cost money or reputation. Maybe it was in your social life, a word spoken in anger that shattered a relationship. The immediate aftermath is not where the damage is done. The crash itself is just physics, cause and effect. The real damage, the catastrophic structural failure, happens in the silence that follows. It happens in your head. You find yourself hanging off the cliff, gripping the guardrail, your feet dangling over the abyss. And instead of pulling yourself up, a voice begins to speak. Why did you do that? What is wrong with you? That was unacceptable. This is the dialogue of the accuser. It is a relentless, forensic analysis of your unworthiness. You try to be present. You try to apply the spiritual principles you have learned. You say, I will be still. But the mind is not still. The mind is a courtroom, and you are being prosecuted without a defense attorney. You are trying to surface for air, to find that connection to the divine, to find God. But it feels as though a sheet of ice has formed over the water. You cannot break through. This brings us to one of the most terrifying experiences in the human condition. The feeling that God has left the building. You feel abandoned. You look for the light and you see only the gray walls of your own regret. The energy to pray is gone. The energy to fix it is gone. You feel heavy, as if a shipping container has been placed upon your chest. Now, the conventional wisdom of the world, and even of most religion, tells you to fight this. It tells you to shake it off, to think positive, to do something to redeem yourself. If you are in a hole, the world hands you a shovel and says, dig. But I am here to tell you that digging is what got you here. The struggle against the darkness is the darkness. There is a radical, counterintuitive maneuver that you must learn if you wish to survive this. It is the art of doing absolutely nothing. When the pain is at its peak, when the self-hatred is screaming, when the fear of the future is vibrating in your nervous system, stop. Do not run. Do not distract yourself with your phone. Do not call a friend to vent. Do not try to fix the feeling. Sit in it. This sounds like madness. Why would you voluntarily sit in a burning room? Because the fire is not physical. It is alchemical. This state of despair, where you feel like you want to jump out of your own skin, is not a punishment. It is a surgery. You are identified with a false self, an ego that believes it must be perfect to be loved. This ego is currently dying. The pain you feel is not the death of you. It is the death of the lie. You think, if I don't do something, I will drown. But the paradox is this. God is not going to pull you out while you are thrashing. The light cannot enter a house that is filled with the noise of your own efforts. You have to reach a point of total zero. This is what the ancients meant by the dark night of the soul. It is a state where the demons of your mind, the regrets, the fears, the shame, are allowed to come out of the shadows and stand in the center of the room. And you are the witness. You simply watch them. You feel the heat. You acknowledge the terror. But you do not engage. You do not say, I shouldn't feel this. You say, I am feeling this. You do not say, God, take this away. You say, here is the darkness. By doing nothing, you are performing the highest spiritual act possible. You are bringing the darkness to the light. You are exposing the wound to the air. The light destroys darkness not by fighting it, but simply by being present. But the light cannot be present if you are busy hiding the darkness, or explaining it away, or medicating it. This is spiritual warfare, but it is a war fought with stillness. It is a battle won by surrender. The demons hate this. They feed on your reaction. They feed on your struggle. When you stop struggling, when you look the monster in the eye and say, do your worst, I am not moving, the monster begins to starve. You might think, I have never felt pain like this. It feels like the end. Good. It should feel like the end. It is the end of the world you constructed. It is the end of the version of you that needed to be right. Count it all joy. That is the ancient instruction. When you fall into various trials, count it all joy. Why? Because the pressure is producing patience. The pressure is cracking the shell of the ego so that the real life can emerge. But you must not lie to yourself. Do not think, oh, I suppressed the anger, so I won. I swallowed the scream, so I am spiritual. No, if you swallowed the poison, it is still in your stomach. It will manifest later. It will come out as sickness or depression or a sudden explosion of rage over something trivial. You must let it process. You must let the wave crash over you completely. You must be willing to be destroyed. Only that which is real can survive the fire. And you want to know what is real? You want to know what remains when the smoke clears. That is the journey we are on. But to find out, you have to be willing to let everything else burn. And this brings us to the most difficult part of the fire, the burning of your goodness. We are addicted to being good. We are addicted to the idea that we are nice, moral, caring people. We build our entire identities around this. I am a good mother. I am a hard worker. I am an activist. I care about the world. But what if I told you that your goodness is just as much a barrier to God as your badness? What if your desire to save the world is actually a subtle, sophisticated form of ego? Consider the phrase, "to hell with the world." It sounds abrasive, doesn't it? It sounds cruel. Your mind immediately recoils. I can't say that. I care about people. I want to bring joy. But let us dissect this care with a scalpel. When you say you want to bring joy to others, or you want to save the animals, or you want to help your family, ask yourself, truly, who is it for? Are you doing it because you are a hollow vessel of pure divine love? Or are you doing it because it makes you feel good? Are you doing it because the identity of the helper gives you a sense of worth? If your peace depends on the world being fixed, you will never know peace. If your happiness depends on your mother being happy, or the animals being safe, or the political situation being just, you are a slave to the external. You are in hell, and you are trying to decorate your cell with good deeds. To say to hell with the world is not to hate the world. It is not to pick up a weapon and destroy. It is to withdraw your emotional investment from the illusion. It is to realize that you cannot fix a broken dream from inside the dream. You have to wake up, and waking up requires a detachment so radical that it feels like betrayal. It feels like you are betraying your family. It feels like you are betraying your values, but you are only betraying your ego. Let's look deeper into this confrontation between the good person and the truth. Imagine a conversation between a master and a devoted activist. The activist says, I am an animal rights defender. I want to minimize pain and suffering. I care. The master looks at them and says, no, you don't. You don't care about the animals. You care about how saving the animals makes you feel. This is a hard pill to swallow. The activist is insulted. Of course I care. I spend my life doing this. But the master presses on. You get pleasure from it. It is the same pleasure a mother gets from worrying about her child. It is the pleasure of identity. It is the pleasure of playing God. Playing God. That is the core of the issue. When we try to control outcomes, whether it's the fate of a stray dog or the mood of our spouse, we are stepping into a role that is not ours. We are assuming that we know what should happen. We assume that pain is bad and comfort is good, but we do not see the whole picture. We do not see the soul's journey. The activist argues, I am trying to keep people from playing God by abusing animals. But the master replies, that is not your job. You cannot stop the world from being the world. You cannot drain the ocean with a spoon. This creates a cognitive dissonance. If I stop trying to save the world, does that mean I become a monster? Does it mean I become indifferent? No, it means you become effective. But to become effective, you must first become empty. You must realize that human beings, in their fallen state, are a mess. We are driven by unconscious impulses, by trauma, by the need for validation. We are, to use the master's terminology, evil. Now do not recoil from that word. Evil here does not mean you are a villain in a comic book. It means you are separated from the source. It means you are operating from the self, for the self. Even your altruism is selfish. Even your love is transactional. I love you as long as you make me feel like a good parent. I help you as long as you appreciate me. I save the animals because it quiets the screaming in my own conscience. This is the darkness of the emotions. All emotions, the master says, are dark. The happy ones and the sad ones. Why? Because they are fluctuations. They are weather patterns in the ego's atmosphere. They are not the sky. The sky is the truth. The sky is unchanged by the storm and unchanged by the sunshine. When you identify with your emotions, I am sad, I am happy, I am righteous, you are identifying with the clouds. You are lost. So when the advice is given to let the world go to hell, it means let the clouds be clouds. Stop trying to control the weather. Stop trying to be the emotional regulator for your family, your community, your planet. Turn your attention inward. Look at the one who is desperate to help. Look at the one who is terrified of being selfish. Who is that? That is the ego. It is a construct. You must work on you. And working on you doesn't mean reading more books or going to the gym. It means facing the darkness inside without flinching. It means admitting, yes, I am angry. Yes, I am judgmental. Yes, I am using this cause to hide from my own emptiness. When you admit you are evil, when you admit you are lost, the Father comes in. The truth rushes in to fill the vacuum. But as long as you claim, I am good, I hope I am good, you are full. You are full of your own self-righteousness. There is no room for God in a cup that is already full of self. Leave your glass empty. This is why the experience of the buzzsaw is so valuable. When you make a huge mistake, when you crash into the guardrail, your cup is momentarily emptied. You can no longer pretend to be perfect. You are forced to look at your own inadequacy. In that moment of humiliation, you are closer to God than the saint who thinks he has it all figured out. The shipping container on your chest, that pressure, that heaviness, is the weight of your false identity collapsing. It feels like death because it is a death, but the mind fights back. The mind says, if I let go, everything will fall apart. If I don't worry about my son, he will fail. If I don't fight for this cause, evil will win. This is the great deception. The world is already saved by the truth, but you cannot see it because you are looking through the distorted lens of your own anxiety. When you clear your own eye, when you remove the beam from your own vision, you will see that everything is unfolding exactly as it must. You will see that your interference was not help, it was noise. Let's go back to the feeling of the buzzsaw. You are in the hole. You are feeling the burn. The master says, stay there. Do not underestimate the difficulty of this. Every fiber of your biological and psychological being is wired to escape pain. We have created an entire civilization based on escaping pain. We have entertainment, drugs, alcohol, therapy, shopping, politics, all designed to keep us from sitting in that room with our own darkness. But the only way out is through. If you run from the feeling, it follows you. It changes masks. You might suppress the anger at work and think, I did it. I controlled myself. But then you go home and kick the dog, or snap at your spouse, or eat an entire cake. The energy must go somewhere. But if you sit with it, if you let it burns up the fuel of the ego. It exhausts itself. And what is left behind is silence, a deep, resonant silence that is not the absence of noise, but the presence of peace. This is the alchemy. You are the vessel. The heat is the circumstance of your life. The lead is your ego. The gold is your soul. But you have to stay in the fire long enough for the transmutation to happen. You keep jumping out of the pot. You keep saying, it's too hot, God, save me. And God is saying, I am trying to save you. I am burning away the chains that bind you. This brings us to the question of isolation. The text mentions that evil does not want you in this room. Evil does not want you hearing this truth. Evil wants you at a dinner party, talking about nothing. Evil wants you in a church where everyone is praising loudly and feeling high on emotion, but nothing is actually changing in the heart. The truth is lonely at first. It requires you to step away from the herd. The herd is moving towards the cliff, comforted by their togetherness. To stop, to turn around, and to walk the other way, towards the fire, towards the self-responsibility, is the terrifying path of the individual. You will lose friends. You will confuse your family. They will ask, "Why don't you care anymore?" And you won't be able to explain that you care more now, but in a different way. You care enough to be real. You care enough to stop enabling their illusions. To hell with your mama. To hell with your daddy. To hell with the world. This is not a curse. It is a liberation. It means I release you from the burden of being my source of happiness, and I release myself from the burden of being yours. It cuts the cord of codependency. It allows you to stand as a pillar of light, and only a free man can help a slave. You cannot pull someone out of the quicksand if you are also in the quicksand, holding on to them for dear life. You have to be on solid ground. Let us conclude by looking at the aftermath of the doing nothing technique. You have crashed. You have sat in the darkness. You have endured the dialogue of the accuser without engaging with it. What happens next? Usually nothing spectacular happens immediately. There are no fireworks. The sky doesn't open up with a choir of angels. But slowly, subtly, the grip loosens. The shipping container on your chest gets lighter. The panic subsides not because you fixed the problem, but because you expanded around it. You begin to realize that the problem was mostly a resistance to the moment. The situation at work is just a situation. The mistake is just a mistake. It is the story about the mistake. The story that said, "I am a failure," that caused the suffering. When you stop feeding the story dies. And then, the wheels start turning on your behalf. This is the promise. When you admit you are powerless, when you admit you are evil, meaning driven by ego, and you stop trying to run the show, the true director takes over. Life begins to organize itself. The solution to the problem appears, often in a way you could never have predicted. A phone call comes. An opportunity arises. Or, simply, the problem ceases to matter. You realize it was a triviality that you blew up into a catastrophe. You start to move with a different rhythm. You are no longer frantic. You are no longer trying to prove your goodness to the world. You are simply being. This is what it means to be in the kingdom. The kingdom of heaven is not a place you go when you die. It is a frequency you inhabit when you stop fighting reality. But be warned, the ego is cunning. It will try to claim this victory too. It will say, "Look at me. I surrendered. I am so spiritual. I am the best at doing nothing." As soon as you think, "I made it," you have fallen. As soon as you pat yourself on the back for your humility, you are arrogant again. It is a razor's edge. You must leave your glass empty all the time. Never fill it up with knowledge. Never fill it up with pride. Never fill it up with the past. Wake up every morning as a blank slate. I know nothing. I am nothing. Guide me. This is the state of the child. Unless you become like little children, you cannot enter the kingdom. Children do not carry the baggage of yesterday. They do not worry about their legacy. They do not try to save the world. They just live. They cry when they are sad. They laugh when they are happy. And they move on instantly. They are fluid. We have become solid. We have calcified into these heavy, serious personalities. We carry our responsibilities like armor, but it is just a crushing weight. So the invitation is this: take off the armor. Put down the shovel. Stop digging. When the darkness comes, and it will come, do not be afraid. Do not panic. Invite it in for tea. Sit with it. Look at it. Hello, fear. I see you. Hello, self-hatred. I hear you. And then, do nothing. Let the silence do the work. Let the light do the fighting. You just stand there. To hell with the world of noise. To hell with the world of pretending. To hell with the world of goodness. Step into the reality of God. It is a terrifying step, yes, it feels like falling. But as we have said before, there is no ground to hit. There is only the endless, buoyant ocean of truth. You are not the driver of the car. You are the passenger. Stop grabbing the wheel. Stop screaming at the other drivers. Sit back. Watch the scenery. Trust the driver. The buzzsaw was not an accident. It was a wake-up call. It was the universe shaking you by the shoulders, shouting, "Let go!" So let go, let it all go. The guilt, the shame, the pride, the need to be right, the need to be good, let it burn, and see what remains.